So, one question that everybody's wondering right now is what is the status of Cody Rhodes? Yesterday, just Alex Hick, formerly Deluxe Man, known as Just Alex Central on Twitter and Alex as well on Facebook, basically came out and said he's sick and tired of all this misinformation going about Cody's status. He's saying one side saying this, one side saying that. And then recently today, he said that the one side that said one thing is kind of now saying exactly what others have said. Now, one thing Alex said about that individual, who is known as a Mr. Dave Meltzer, is he's been kind of off the ball lately. Like any news that he's been trying to back up as being legit has been shot down, and it's hurt his credibility, or whatever credibility he's had up to that point. Now, there are other sites that have said that Cody could be on his way back to AEW as part of the whole Ring of Honor deal. And even just Alex feels that that's probably the more logical conclusion. And it might be. We're not really sure. But one thing is for certain, according to Alex. Someone's not telling the truth. Someone is not coming out and giving us a straight answer of either yay or nay, or this is the strongest possibility and this is the less likely possibility. They're not giving us any straight kind of answer to clue us in on one direction or the other. And he has said that the only person that should actually give us a legitimate answer is Cody Rhodes himself. And I do agree with that. Cody should be the one that gives us an answer. Now, right now, Cody is, I guess by his own admission, kind of in a similar situation like Johnny Gargano. See, Johnny Gargano has been out of wrestling since, about the end of last year, beginning of this year. And he has yet to show up in AEW, New Japan, MLW, AAA, PWG, Impact, AEW. He is basically legit not shown up in any, place, period. Not even a small independent show that might just want to have him for one night. And the reason being is the same reason Cody has come out, and like I said, by his own admission, is not really, actively pursuing getting back into wrestling right away. And that is the fact that they want to focus on being there for the child, being there for the wives. In Johnny's case, he wants to be there with Candice until their daughter is born. Cody wants to be there, just a little bit more so that his child, who's already been born, can get to know him better than I think, Dusty was, able to know Cody, or Cody was able to know his father, Dusty, because of Dusty sometimes being on the road a lot of times. And that's all good and fine. But in the midst of that, you have a lot of fans wondering, when are we going to get that answer of one way or the other? Is he going back to Connecticut? Is he staying put in the Jacksonville area? What's going on? And like Alex and many others have pointed out, only Cody Rhodes knows the answer for sure. Only Cody is the one that can legitimately come out and say, this is what I'm doing, and that's that. Or at least give us a hint, maybe a teaser of this is possibly where I'm heading, and that's all I'm going to say. Because right now we live in a society where, basically fans want answers immediately. They want the truth. They want the answer right now, so that basically whatever debate is going on between, either who's going where, who's going to sign with who, and vice versa, can, be brought to a halt. Because that way we will finally have some kind of legitimate answer, to the whole question of where is that person going, where is this person going, how are they going to show up, when are they going to show up, stuff like that. They want answers. We are in an era that is not very patient. We're not a very patient era, if you catch my drift. A lot of us, even us of the 80s and 90s, if you will, have succumbed to wanting things now. We want things done now. We want this. We want that. We don't want to wait. We don't want to, allow ourselves to be genuinely surprised. We want, this and that that, and this, here and now, no questions asked. And when it comes to Cody Rhodes' situation, there's a lot of fans that don't want him to go to WWE, that are AEW diehards, that are happy about AEW having, Tony Khan that is, having acquired Ring of Honor. There's a lot of fans that generally dislike WWE, that all they want to hear out of this whole scenario is Cody Rhodes back to AEW. Cody Rhodes showing up tomorrow night at the end of the world title match and attacking Adam Page or Adam Cole and making himself declared for the, making the declaration that he signed a new contract and it doesn't hold him against, or it doesn't prevent him from going after the world title, which he can now do. That's what they want. They want to hear the words, that they believe is true, that this is all a work. That, this is all just a work that seems very legitimate, but in the end will be revealed to be a work that, keeps Cody in AEW, maybe even part of Ring of Honor. That's what they want. And yet on the other side of the coin, you have fans, overall wrestling fans of all products, whether it's AEW, WWE, that are like, they're very patient. Well, not very patient, but they're basically impatient is what I'm trying to say. They're very impatient, and all they want is an answer of yay or nay. Are you yes staying in AEW and no to WWE? Or you yes jumping to WWE and no to AEW? That's what they want. They don't care either way. Because again, like I said, we are in an era of being impatient. We're in an era of we want it now. Give it to me. Give me, give me, give me. That's what we're in. And when it comes to a situation like Cody Rhodes, that's what we pretty much, pretty much viewed as right now, I should say. We're pretty much viewed as being people that want that answer. We want Cody to come out and say, yes, I'm going to WWE. Yes, I'm staying in AEW. Yes, I'm staying in AEW to be part of Ring of Honor. That's what we want. Because we're not patient. We're not patient, and willing to wait for a legitimate answer. We want it now. We want it now. I mean, to paraphrase something that Alex sometimes says when he looks at potential matchups, in the future, like let's say on the AEW side of things, he looks at Keith Lee and Will Hobbs and potential feud there. You know what he says sometimes to that? And I think he said it recently. He says, give it to me. I wants it and I needs it. Give it to me. That's kind of what we are. When it comes to this generation of wrestling fans overall, past, present, and potentially future. That's what we are. We are in that generation of we wants it, we needs it, give it to us. And when it comes to wondering about Cody Rhodes' situation and his status of where he's heading, our answer, our reasoning for it is we wants an answer, we needs an answer, give us the answer. We're not the kind that's willing to say, okay, we'll just sit back and see what he does. We want an answer. We want an answer. That's what it is. And if you're a die-hard, faithful AEW supporter, even if you still tend to like WWE and what it brings to the table on occasions, once in a while, but you're more AEW aligned, you want Cody to say, I'm going back to AEW, because you don't want him to go to WWE because you don't know what he's going to do there. You don't know what they'll do with him there. And that's a fact. That's a legit fact. But again, the one thing Alex Hicks and many others have said similarly is the only person that can give us a legit answer to his status and what his future holds is Cody Rhodes himself. Now, when you really think about it, Cody could have done the one thing that I believe Tony Khan did when it came to finalizing this deal to gain ownership of Ring of Honor. Cody could have signed an NDA himself. And basically what that NDA is non-disclosure, which means he and anybody else that signed it can't say anything. Nobody within WWE, if he's going there, nobody within AEW, if he's going back there, nobody, wherever he signed the NDA at, can say a thing, thus basically keeping everybody in the dark. And by keeping everybody in the dark, it becomes a surprise. So if he's going back to AEW, we won't know until the time is right for him to, to come out and admit it. Or like I say, he shows up at the end of Revolution and makes his intentions clear that he's either going to be part of Ring of Honor or he's challenging for the world title. And that's it. Or if he is going back to WWE, we won't know until maybe WrestleMania. A lot of people are thinking, well, why would Cody show up at WrestleMania? It doesn't make any sense. Well, what if, let's say, Seth Rollins wants to face an opponent, he finds out he's going to face a mystery opponent at Mania, and that mystery opponent turns out to be Cody. I'm just saying. We may not know until that time, because maybe Cody and one of the sides he's sided with or agreed with, signed a contract with, both, signed NDAs. Because NDAs, I'll tell you right now, is probably the best choice that wrestling, sports entertainment in general, has to go with. Probably the best option, I should say, they have to go with to keep things a secret and out of the public eye of the wrestling news sites. Because usually the wrestling news sites are the first to figure something out and report it. But because there's such confusion, I believe an NDA may have been signed somewhere, but who it's with, we don't know. We don't know until the time comes for that NDA to expire, and then we'll find out, at that time and venue and time and place, I should say, what the answer is. But, Alex is right. The only person that legitimately can tell us anything about his future is Cody himself. Cody's the only one that can tell us. That's it. I mean, as strange as this comparison as it is, when customers, recently that have seen me work at Walmart in Patterson, when they see me at Target, they're kind of surprised, like, hey, what happened with Walmart? And I have to tell them, oh, we just parted ways. When some of my former associates see me there, even though they've heard rumblings of, hey, he's over there now, they're still kind of caught off, guard, or kind of surprised, at the fact that I'm now with, the competition. And the reason you get that, and not you, but the reason I should say they get that general kind of genuine, I should say, surprised look, or surprised questioning as to why I'm there. It's kind of like if I signed an NDA. I signed an NDA with Target, and both of us agree, and everybody at Target agrees, hey, don't say a word about him showing up until after he's hired and he gets into a rhythm. And that's basically what's been going on. I've been getting into a rhythm to now people that do recognize me from Walmart as customers, as a cashier there, are kind of caught off guard. They're surprised. It's like they didn't see it coming. And same with some of the associates. They may have heard rumblings, but don't know until they see it for themselves. That's kind of like with, I know it's a strange comparison to make, but that's kind of like with Cody. Nobody knows whether or not he's with WWE now, because maybe he and WWE signed an NDA. We don't know. Nobody knows whether or not he's going back to AEW to be part of the Ring of Honor, acquisition, because maybe he signed an NDA. We don't know. Again, the only person that knows is Cody Rhodes. And even if he didn't sign an NDA, something is going on to where there's mixed signals and somebody's not saying something, that they may know. Like, because here's the thing. There are some people that are reporting this, one way or another, saying this is what's going on, and then the other side saying this is what's going on. One of those sides, one of these multiple sides, I should say, knows something more than they're letting on, if there was no NDA signed, but they're not saying anything because they're hoping they're right and not wrong. And, it's a wait and see tactic, if you will, when it comes down to it. But to me, if I'm making any guess whatsoever, with Tony Khan signing what I would assume was an NDA before he made the revelation that he bought Ring of Honor, this past Wednesday on Dynamite, I'm going to assume that if Cody's heading either up north to Connecticut to WWE or staying in the Florida area with AEW, my assumption, and maybe even being part of Ring of Honor, my assumption is he may have signed an NDA too. Either, on either side of the coin. He may have signed an NDA, they may have signed an NDA, one of the sides, either WWE or AEW, and they can't say anything until the time is right. Because if they say something and the word gets out, it's going to ruin the surprise and the revelation of where he's going. So, again, the only person that knows the whereabouts of his future in this business is Cody, and if he has signed, like I said, an NDA, with either side, then we won't know until the time is right. And basically until that, and when that time is right is when the expiration on that NDA expires, and that could, if it's WWE, it could expire at WrestleMania. It could expire this Monday on Raw. Or if it's, AEW, it could expire tomorrow night at Revolution. It could expire on the post-Revolution edition of Dynamite. We don't know. But, again, the only person that knows anything is Cody, and whatever side is keeping silent about this whole thing, maybe because of NDA. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on the whole Cody Rhodes situation? Do you think someone knows something more than they're letting on, but they're not telling us the whole truth? Or do you think maybe Cody and either one of the sides he's, going to go with signed an NDA, and it's not going to reveal anything until that NDA expires at the time and place for him to, for he and that side he's agreed to be part of to let the world know of his decision. What are your thoughts? Comment below. Live chat during the premiere, where super chats and super stickers are open and would be appreciated, guys. Very much. Also check me out at BW Roses Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also check me out at VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube due to copyright reasons. Also check me out at VENMO at Brian-Walmer-2. And also check me out at patreon.com/BW Roses. Support me with a $1 or $3 tier. And also check me out at Cash App at BW Roses 98. But again, guys, let me know what your thoughts are on this whole situation. Do you think Cody and whatever's direction he's going in, whatever side he's going to go with, signed an NDA? Or do you think somebody's not telling the truth because maybe they know a little bit more than they're letting on? And do you think, honestly, the only person that would truly let us know of the future of Cody is Cody himself? Let me know down below in the comments as well as in the live chat during the premiere, and I am out.